Chiefs Kingdom, welcome in to the latest edition of the AP Breakdown on the Arrowhead Pride YouTube channel. We're live there. We're live on Twitter tonight as well. I'll always call it Twitter. I'm Ron Kopp Jr., the lead analyst at arrowheadpride.com. With me, as always, great film analyst for the site, Caleb James at CJ Scoobs. Make sure you're following both of us on Twitter. Caleb, we are here after another victory. Chiefs are 13-1. We are spoiled in Chiefs Kingdom. Didn't finish great, and we will look at that. That play there at the end where Mahomes went down. But just right off the bat, though, you're looking at defense. I'm looking at offense. How nice was it to just kind of get a complete win where it didn't come down to the wire, just a kind of a controlling win for once?
Could have been better. At one point, it kind of looked like it might be like a 35-38 nothing kind of game, and we'll take the 21-7. It just felt like the second half got a little bit sloppy. Obviously, not good with the Mahomes injury, but the defense did show some positive signs on their end that they're coming around.
Yeah, I know. I've said this privately, but like this felt like a game they win 45-14 or like 45-10 in the past, where the turnovers it just gets out of hand. The Chiefs just kind of rack it up. Just weren't really able to do that. And, hey, they did have to deal with shifting around the offensive line for the fourth time this season, having Joe Thuney kick out to left tackle, Mike Caliendo getting in there at left guard. And they did have to work around that. And that's where we're going to start tonight. I feel like they did start out the game working around that pretty well. And really scheming around, Myles Garrett, obviously a huge presence, one of the top pass rushers in the entire NFL. And they did get that short field right off the bat, from that punt muff, or not really a muff, I guess. It was a forced fumble on, was it, who forced that fumble? I'm trying to remember now. I know, oh man, who forced that fumble?
I believe it was P. Ryan.
Was it P. Ryan? Yeah, someone in the comments will correct me, I'm sure. But they got that short field and they used it, and they had a nice strong run, got them to a second down and manageable, and they pulled out the old Nick Bosa, the old Max Crosby playbook here, where you actually, the best pass rusher, that scary pass rusher, you actually leave him unblocked here, and make it, and use his kind of momentum against him, or his playmaking against him, his penetration. It's a pretty easy scheme, right, where it's going to use misdirection, jet fake. You're also going to have the handoff fake. So this looks like kind of a traditional outside zone split, split back block. That's what, it's a split zone, I should say. Kelsey's coming out to block, and cut off that backside edge defender. It gets left on outside zone. And so that's the action. And obviously Kelsey, just isn't blocking. It's a play action thing. First down. But yeah, no, you like, using Garrett's momentum against him. And the nice thing about this is that first drive of the game. The very next play, well, you'll see it from the end zone angle too. And Pat does have to make this play over him, but you trust Pat to do that. You trust Pat to make that play. Kelsey, gets left open because of the misdirection. But the next play, they do the same thing, just go on the other side, right? Same, pretty much same thing, kind of differently, where, it's going to be kind of an end around look instead, and not necessarily the play action, but you're still going to have that slide route, right? Which is where you have that receiver coming across the formation behind the line of scrimmage, just into the flat. Pass just going to get it to him real quick. Unblocked edge defender. They just score a touchdown there. So that's a great way to work around the rush, right? They had a great start to the game, working around, because the other edge rusher, that wasn't him right there, but is Okoronkwo. He's a pretty good player too. He gave the Chiefs some good plays too as well. So
and
got to work around both of them.
What's really cool about this is you'd assume that a guy like Juju in there is going to be there to help chip on Garrett with Joe Thuney, but they set it up to where everyone's expecting that, and he just comes right across the formation, and there's no one there to guard him. So great play setup.
Yeah, just misdirection, right? Just great use of misdirection to just kind of keep the Browns on their toes. You're right, because you could initially, it's like, oh, are they gonna, or if they're doing the end around, like, are they gonna just have people double team and trying to get Garrett off? But no, here they go back across, get Juju with space, let him finish it off, touchdown to start the game. So great way to start things in Cleveland. And again, it kind of continued to go. I think the run game really worked well right off the bat. You saw the under center stuff with Kareem Hunt really take off. Kareem Hunt was running really well, I would say. And just, like this one here, like he just makes the guy miss. There's Okoronkwo. I was just talking about him. He beats Jawan inside. Kareem just makes a miss and gets upfield, gets a big gain, on first down. You love to see it. This is how you keep, the pressure off pad or the pressure off the pass offense by running hard here, right? You see Pacheco running through tackles from the shotgun look. It's that pull, it's that power where Juju is going to be that kick out guy, but he actually works up. Actually, excuse me. Travis works as the kick out guy, but Trey pulls, digs the dude out, gets him a lane to work. But yeah, again, Pacheco just working through, running hard, getting the good gains. These are good chunk yards on these runs in the first half, right? Like under center again here with Kareem. You're just going to get that kind of zone action, get everyone out. Like Caliendo getting out on a guy as a DB, but still just getting his body on him. Trey Smith obviously working well, and then just big running again, strong running again. Like that's what you need to see from this offense to keep, again, just kind of things moving without needing, Pat to drop back over and over when you do have the shakiness at left tackle right now. Again, here's some strong runs too. So yeah, no, these are all in the first half, and these are all, more than 5-6 yard gains, right? These are strong runs from the guys up front. Did you like how Caliendo played? Did you like how the offensive line performed, I guess, when you're talking about just the run game in general?
I thought from the run game, they were solid. I was fairly disappointed in the second half when they went away from it. They did have some ugly sequences where they did struggle to get movement. Cleveland does have a pretty good front seven. It is an area where they do excel in. I mean, you do recall they made the playoffs last year a lot because they did have a pretty decent defense out there. But yeah, I mean, and give credit to everyone. They kind of knew the situation with Tooney at left tackle, so they knew the run game would be big this week, and everyone kind of stepped up. Thought Trey Smith played great football, though, yet again.
Yeah, no, there's going to be some Trey plays you'll see here in pass protection as well. Definitely had a great game. I think really what happened in the second half, when the runs did get bottled up, first of all, again, like you just said, talented front. Dalvin Tomlinson's really good inside. They do have Shelby Harris as well. Okoronkwo plays well. Solid front. They also were starting to crowd the line of scrimmage, knowing the Chiefs had that multi-score lead. I do think that led to some of the pass heaviness in the second half, where the Chiefs felt like that was the only way they could get stuff going. And again, I think the game plan, continued well throughout into the second half right away to get the 21-0 lead. This was Xavier Worthy's touchdown. Kind of the same principle we were just talking about, where you just leave, that scary edge defender unblocked, right, and take advantage of his penetration, or just kind of, block him with the play. Here you're going to see, this is an option play, right, where he can hand off to Kareem. But I think he wants to go to Worthy with this all the way. I think as long as Garrett's not screaming completely upfield, even though he does, right? He screams upfield. Mahomes knows he can get this to Worthy quick enough. He wants to get the ball out in space here. And so that was a run pass option that Mahomes takes it for. Great blocking on the end of this by Juju and Justin Watson on the perimeter to finish this play off. But yeah, again, that's how you scheme it up around, great edge defenders. That's how they're going to have to scheme it up around the guys they have coming up. TJ Watt got banged up, but he's coming. They're going to have to play him in maybe 10 days or, in a couple weeks, actually, I should say, a couple weeks from now. But the Texans have a couple of guys that they're going to have to, make plays like these, turn these into big plays, don't get tackled, don't let turn these into the touchdowns. Because Worthy had a few end around plays on quick screens, tunnel screens that he almost broke, and just had a few where he was that close. So, continuing to get those working is definitely the way to go. But again, this game did end 21-7 after that 21-0 start, right? And I think some of it, was just misexecution, first of all, from the offense. This was early on that third down. I think it was the second drive of the game, the second real drive of the game, after they scored that first touchdown. He's forcing this ball to Justin Watson, who gets an OPI. This is just kind of, just Mahomes kind of getting greedy, I think, because you got man coverage here. You got just one safety over the top. You can see the blitz, the man coverage coming. It's pretty obvious. And so when you have these crossing routes going underneath, one of them being Xavier Worthy, it's a pretty simple read. It should be, at least, that as long as Worthy gets a good release off the ball, as long as he has, or Juju gets that, good route where he's going to have to bump that defender kind of deeper and give Worthy the space, this should be to Worthy all day. And so that's where, this could have kept the drive alive. This is just kind of misexecution because I'll get the end zone angle, but the pass protection, and that's maybe where Mahomes felt this good pocket, and he was like, I want to take this shot, man. I'm not wasting this good pocket. So you're going to see it right here where Trey Smith, you just talked about having a great game, Caleb. You got to love this from Myles Garrett one-on-one, right? Against Myles Garrett one-on-one, I should say.
No, it's a great play, and Myles Garrett's kind of slides out there. Not a place he usually lines up at, but he's going to try to return back to the A gap pretty quickly. But Trey does a good job. Doesn't really overset. He just stays kind of slow out of his stance. Then he reacts back in, keeps his hands tight to avoid the hold there. But what he's able to do is get big with that left hand. He kind of tosses Garrett around, then he finishes with a nice shove. You see the deep ball there, but then underneath you see Xavier Worthy had a little bit of separation down below also. And you think, well, with how big would that completion would have been, with the kind of separation Worthy had, I feel like he might have had a chance for a big chunk play here, but that's the kind of pocket you need. You like seeing everyone kind of helping out Tooney over there, also on the left side, just given the situation that they're in.
Yeah, no, and again, that's where Mahomes really may have just if he was more sped up on that play, maybe he does just get it to Worthy real quick. He may have just been like, man, I love this pocket. I'm just going to force it. Really not a good read, good play on his part. Wasted a drive, ended a drive. And then here a little later in the game, I think this was a third down. I should have made sure, but I think this actually was an early down. But again, just kind of wasting opportunities to Xavier Worthy, where he does kind of Worthy gets the separation in terms of getting across the field against that guy playing over him. Kelsey grabs the attention of the far corner over here, so there is a little bit of space to the end zone here. I do think it's a little tighter window than it looks because that backside corner, Denzel Ward, is closing on that. Does see that the ball is going vertical, but that's the thing is Mahomes puts this way too vertical. He wants to put that away from the backside corner. He does need to give Xavier Worthy more of a chance here, and so the ball's just a little sailed, no play here. You'd like to see Mahomes just give him that chance because again, here play action, you have the pocket. Myles Garrett I don't think was in on that play. So you take advantage of that, and you can't. You can't. No Myles Garrett up front gives them plenty of time. Has the loaded protection, right? You have Carson Steele and Noah Gray staying in the block. You want to take advantage of those opportunities. You do. It was right. You're going to see down here like that would have been a tight window for sure if he does put it a little just shorter, more on that S, right? More on the letters rather than the back of the end zone. But again, you want to just see him give him those shots. So we've just seen that a little too many times this year where not even giving him the shot, to make the play. But again, as the game wore on, I think the run game just got balled up like I was talking about. They had to pass a few more times or more than they probably wanted to. And that's where you kind of saw the Browns get the third and longs more and really, bring out the big guns. You're going to see Myles Garrett, blow up the pocket here with an inside spin. You'll see it from the end zone angle more. And it did disrupt the play, right? If they are able to, get a little more, just Myles Garrett not blowing up that pocket. D-Hop is wide open over the middle. That's an easy conversion. Maybe not easy. He's close to the sticks. He's still got to get to the, to that past that 30-yard line to the sticks, but he's right there. So that probably is a first down if Mahomes has the time to step in to the play. But yeah, you can just see Myles Garrett on the left edge here. Just go right through Tooney on the inside spin, even having chip help, kind of, Pirine did try to put his chip in there. And then you're going to see on the other side too, Okoronkwo give Juwan that outside spin, and just Mahomes isn't comfortable in this situation. He's not going to be comfortable in that where he's got spinners on the outside just spinning around and blowing up the pocket. You're going to see it here again where they got the third and long, and so that's where they can just unleash the stuff. And there's just no chance for Mahomes to get to any of the open receivers here, whether it is Kelsey working across the middle. There's no time to get there, right? Whether it is Worthy having all this room to the sideline if you wanted to give it to him. There's no chance for it. There's just no time. And that's what, staying ahead of the sticks, gets you. And that's what just happened in the second half, I think, is they just weren't able to make those positive plays on early downs like they were in the first half. Just weren't, able to get the run game going. Again, you're just seeing Myles Garrett just blow up, go right through Tooney, put him into the center of the pocket, right into Mahomes' line of vision. It's going to be hard to work around when that stuff's happening, Caleb, I would say. But as the game went to that final drive where Mahomes was in, They got to that 3rd and 3 situation where, they're in Cleveland territory. They're up 21-7. There's 8 minutes left, right? 3rd and 3, Caleb. I don't know. What were your initial thoughts here? Like, would I in hindsight's 2020, right? Everyone can see it clearly in hindsight. But you're up 2 possessions, 8 minutes left in the game. Your defense is playing well. You're in opposing territory. I would have liked to see them maybe just, get under center, just run the ball a couple of straight plays if they really want to go for that 4th down. And if you're not going to do that, punt this ball, honestly. Like maybe not kick a field goal, but punt this ball. I really would say that. Just too many straight dropbacks for me. So I don't know. I guess just as we're watching these 2 plays, I mean, is that just me being a little too critical? You think of, because hey, put the ball in Mahomes' hands to try to end this game. We love to see that sometimes too.
I mean, I think it's the right situation to try this in. You're against a team who you don't think is really going to have a real chance to come back against you. And it is, in some instances, a good chance to practice, what you would do in this situation moving forward or see how you would react. The only unfortunate thing was, you end up, Pat ends up with getting banged up and then you turn the ball over. So that's where it's not really the best at here for that kind of a situation. So, I mean, you can either take it one of 2 ways. I mean, You can either be the negative way where, Pat got hurt, but you can also see what you want. I do think, though, they said some of the reports from practice today were that he did practice. I know it wasn't like a padded practice or anything, but we'll see how he's feeling, headed into Saturday.
Yeah, no, I'm of the opinion, honestly. I'd like to rest him if they can, and we will look at the 2 Carson Wentz throws. I think his couple plays were encouraging in his first real action with the Chiefs, I would say. But again, you're dropping straight back on both of these plays. That first play, they actually drop 8 into coverage. The pass coverage that gives Mahomes the most trouble. Myles Garrett's actually kind of going to spy him, right? You're going to see him drop out, and then Mahomes runs right into it because the pocket is disrupted a little bit on the right side, or just he can kind of feel that rush coming. You'd like to see maybe this ball get complete. Noah Gray does have a little bit of, that outside separation ball is just a little high. Maybe go up with 2 hands, Noah, maybe, go up, really jump for that, whatever. Again, just kind of dropping Mahomes straight back, 8 minutes left in the game, up 2 scores, they were running under center earlier in the game. Kareem Hunt was running hard. I think, or just, some sort of maybe rollout action where you're rolling away. It's 3 yards. They have plenty of plays in the pack, in their playbook for that kind of, play where Mahomes is running away from the pass rush. Sometimes those plays drive me crazy, but I wouldn't mind them here because, again, if it doesn't convert, like, it's not the end of the world. Like, you can trust your defense is going to, you don't want to make, I don't want to be too conservative, right? You don't want to be, but at the same time, you have your 4th left tackle in against a Myles Garrett, and Myles Garrett was eating in the second half. He was already, he had 7 pressures in the second half. This wasn't even one of them. And so I just, that's where you just like to see a little more self-awareness from the Chiefs offense, in my opinion. Just kind of, maybe they wanted to build that confidence, right? They wanted to build that, hey, we haven't had that kind of blowout win in a while. Let's really try to, get this. They were driving on that drive too. They were putting together some good plays, after a second half where they were very dormant for a lot of it. But here, we get Carson Wentz coming in the game. And again, they said Mahomes could have played. So, and I believe that. So it's not like we won't see Mahomes on Saturday. I just really feel like, if he injures it even more at any point, it's going to really be annoying in the playoffs. I just feel like, maybe you try to trust Carson Wentz to win on Saturday, see how Mahomes feels against the Steelers on Wednesday. Your thoughts there before we wrap up the offense?
I think that what's gotten lost in this whole, like, the end of the Chiefs schedule, 3 games in such a short a period or such a short amount of time, has been that they have a chance to possibly get the 1 seed and get over 20 days of rest. So that's the flip side of it. That's like about the NFL's equivalent of like a team getting to rest before a bowl game in college football or something like that. That's what they have the potential to do in the next week or so when they're getting ready to play the Texans and they're getting ready to play the Steelers. I don't know about you, But if they sit Mahomes and he gets a few extra days, that's fine. If he goes out and re-aggravates it against the Steelers, it was all for nothing. Then you
Yeah.
possibly cost yourself this. So I'd almost stay aggressive here. I know it's probably not popular, not what people want to hear, but I don't think the Chiefs really want to go into Denver in the last week of the season and need to pull out a win against a Broncos team who could be playing for their playoff lives and going all out. That's not really a situation I think the Chiefs want to be in, especially given the last time how that last Broncos game worked out and the fact that they could see the Broncos again in a couple of weeks. I think you go in to this stretch right here and you do try to go all out to get the 1 seed by Christmas Day. And, it may be tough. It may not work out the way you want, but I think having that bye week and having that extra rest off of the bye week is bigger than 1 week of rest because Mahomes is the team player, as we know. He's not, if he goes out and guts it out this weekend on Christmas, he's not just gutting it out so his ankle can get healthy later on. He's getting, he's gutting it out so Kelsey can get 20 extra days, so the linemen and Chris Jones and everyone can get 20 extra days. By Hollywood Brown 20 extra days. 20 days, that's a long time. That's an eternity in football. That's a lot of time to get fresh really quickly in the season, an advantage that no other team would have.
Well, my guy Max agrees with you for sure, and I do too. I do want to rest. I don't want to re-aggravate it, but you're right. Especially when Max also mentions it too. We have a very hard schedule left, as you mentioned too. The Bills, comparatively, they play the Patriots twice. I think the Jets are squeezed in between that. Like, it's hard to see them dropping a game. So you do have to go all out. And if you can win these next 2 games, you get a couple weeks to rest that ankle. And I think, I think when you think about it, we can. Pat's done this before. Like, this is not a new injury for him. Like, he's managed it before. This team's managed it before. It's kind of funny to think about. Where it's not a new experience. This team knows how to manage this. So whatever they do, we can trust that they're doing the right thing. I would say that's probably the best way to put it.
And here's where I think the Chiefs do have an advantage over both these teams they're getting ready to play. The Texans' offense is a little bit messed up right now, and the Steelers' offense is a little bit messed up right now. Also, the Chiefs' defense on Sunday, like we saw, they're starting to heat back up again. They got guys starting to come on. They forced turnovers against a bad quarterback, but really, when you do look at the Browns, they do have pieces that make them a hard team to stop. Now, obviously, like quarterback situation is not great, but I'll hop into some of the pass rush stuff here. If you're good to go.
Yeah, because the reason this game was so comfortable, because the Chiefs' offense did trip itself up, on a lot of possessions after 6 turnovers from the defense and special teams, 5 by the defense. We talked. It was 4 picks and 1 fumble recovery, or forced fumble, I should say. That doesn't even include the 5 sacks, one of them being a strip sack. You're going to get into that, I'm sure. Definitely a great confidence boosting game for the defense. And I felt it coming for sure against a Jameis Winston, just a team where, he holds onto the ball. He puts it up for grabs. This Chiefs defense had only forced 3 turnovers in the prior 6 weeks. They needed to have a game like this where turnovers just kind of came in bunches like they tend to do. And it all, I think, started up front with the disruption probably, right?
Yeah, and he didn't have a sack, but, man, it all starts with 95 up there. You talk about, a guy who's having an underrated great season in his career. Here he is going against Wyatt Teller. Wyatt Teller's an awesome guard, an all-pro caliber guard, and he gets underneath him and drives him into the backfield and makes Jameis very uncomfortable. So you see already within about a second and a half of the ball being snapped, Chris Jones is already making his impact felt. He forces Jameis to kind of run around, holding hands with him for a second here. He about broke his finger, but Jameis somehow snuck away. But there's Tershawn Wharton, right place, right time. Awesome season for Turk so far. You see, he actually gets the double team here. It's so weird. The Chiefs have got these teams so messed up with their blitzes and everything that they're leaving Chris Jones single block. They're double teaming Wharton, but Wharton using that athleticism and quickness to get off of it, and then he's going to get credit for the sack. That's a great finish. You look at the outside on the right edge here. Good pass rush also by Leo Chenal. Kind of funny. He gets a little bit of something there on Jack Conklin. So some different looks here. I like them mixing up the personnel a little bit right there. But getting after Jameis was pretty fun this week, especially. He hasn't looked bad. Like, yeah, he's, there's been picks, there's been all this stuff. It's been like typical Browns football for a little bit, but the Browns like do have pieces. Like their whole reason they're not a good team is largely because of their quarterback situation and the circumstances surrounding that. But I love this. You got Chris Jones lined up basically in the 5 tech with George Karlaftis on the outside of him. So you got these 2 wide guys going against Conklin and Teller. Other side of the field, you got Omenihu. He's going to get chipped on. And pretty much you see, you can kind of see Chris Jones is going to get one-on-one. For whatever reason, they didn't, the Browns were comfortable leaving Wyatt Teller one-on-one with Chris Jones. Don't know about that. He presses the pocket. Everyone's uncomfortable. Take a look on the other side of the field, though. Charles Omenihu, great game. Presses off, throws a little rip. They're all uncomfortable. So Omenihu and Karlaftis come at different levels, kind of by design. George comes low, kind of tighter. Omenihu wants to come a little bit more wide, but now they're getting there, and that's a hold, by the way. Chris Jones does get held right here because Jameis has to just pretty much do that to get away from him, and then just a great effort by Karlaftis to run him down there at the end of the play. George had an awesome game.
Yeah, no, I was, it was a thought I had during the game, but I mean, it's just true that, I mean, this Chiefs pass rush is probably one of the best in pursuit, when it comes to kind of that, after 2.5 seconds, after that first beat of a drop back. I don't know if there's many pass rushes better when you account for George, Mike Dana, even Charles, just, the ability they have, the motors they have, the, just kind of how they can grab you and eventually get you. That's where Jameis holding on to the ball, it's dangerous against this pass rush, and they took advantage.
And here is just Charles Omenihu showing everyone that he is back. And I thought this was such an awesome play. It is a left tackle who's not very good, but still being able to see a guy like this. And remember, he's not like some bendy, flexible edge rusher. Omenihu's a big, bulky guy. He can play interior on downs too. But he is awesome here. Hits this left tackle with a nice little hand swat. Stays just enough on balance right here to be able to get around him, bends the arc, and then perfect timing. Just as Jameis is cocking back to throw, just like in the AFC Championship game, you saw what he did to Lamar. Same play, pretty much. Chiefs just don't quite get on it in time. Just weren't quite there, but a nice little strip of the football there. You like seeing that back, but let's take a look at the right side. Why is Charles Omenihu one-on-ones? Because Chris Jones is playing defensive end here, and you have slot receiver, tight end, Nick Chubb, Jack Conklin, 4 guys all over Chris Jones. So, and then, they're messed up too because you got Jaden Hicks. Jaden Hicks playing some good football right now. You get him and you got Nick Bolton switching and swapping. They don't know what's happening out there. So you got your slide going this way, basically to the left, but you still only are double teaming. But you still got your basically quadruple. You have to quadruple, triple chip Chris Jones basically on the other side. And that's why Charles Omenihu is getting one-on-ones. That's why you got to start getting optimistic about this Chiefs pass rush here, is because you're starting to see it again. They played very vanilla football when people said they were quote-unquote struggling. Well, I think Spags was just putting them in a lot of situations against lesser teams and saying, hey, let's go out here and see how you guys can perform. We're not, why they're like, that game against the Raiders or the Broncos, those games where they kind of floundered a little bit later, why do we need to blitz? Why do we need to be exotic when we can just kind of go out here and see if we can just take these guys one-on-one and we'll see what happens. We'll see how our team reacts. But there does come a turning point where you do at some point have to start getting ready to start ramping back up what you do. And we also saw the return of some of the Chiefs' better blitzes. And I like this one because you got Drew Tranquil right on the edge here. You got Chris Jones and Mike Dana pretty tight together. And then you got Karlaftis wide there. I believe that's Turk there in the middle. But look at this timing from Nick Bolton. And look at Bolton. He's doing a good job of just selling that he's not coming because you got Tranquil walked up and Nick is kind of walking around, kind of checking. He's looking outside. He's kind of shifting over like he's getting ready to go run out and cover the flat or something. And then just as soon as Jameis snaps the ball, he knows he probably made a mistake because Bolton is about to come untouched through the middle here. and not even Nick Chubb can get in the way, and Jameis is trying to like roll out, and he doesn't even see Drew Tranquil, and they just crush him. There's no chance that play's even going to – I mean, this play didn't have a chance.
Yeah, no, this was a fun play during the game. But yeah, that's what this Chiefs defense, that's why the blitzes seem so effective, is because all the linebackers, the corner, I mean, like McDuffie is good at it too. The timing they have on the blitzes maximizes them. I mean, it does. Like, you can call this blitz and another linebacker, it doesn't blow up like that. It just turns into, maybe he just doesn't time it well and he gets chipped by that guard, or the running back just gets a good square on him and nothing happens of it. But when you have guys like that, especially that have been in the system for a while, you're right. No, they're starting to heat up. They're starting to cook up those as we get closer to the playoffs, and they're going to need them. Again, this defense is going to have to carry this team the rest of the way, no matter if Mahomes is playing or not in the regular season, I should say.
And this was a nice play by Karlaftis again. I love seeing him get the double sacks. He's got 7 now. He's going to be hunting. There's going to be a lot of hunting and chasing for those sack incentives late in the season, and I think the Chiefs have a couple of favorable matchups for them. Houston's good. CJ Stroud takes a lot of sacks. Like, I think they have a good left tackle there. I think that their interior is a little weak. The Steelers' offensive line they can go from looking great to being terrible week after week. So that could be interesting also. I like seeing this from George, though, just getting off and, nice wide pass rush versus a right tackle. Obviously, Chris Jones coming in on the more tight angle here. He's the one that's going to kind of start to flush everything. Jameis gets uncomfortable, but just great athleticism by George on these second efforts, chasing down Jameis. And again, just nice little move to the outside, throws that rip, gets off. Chris Jones causes the disruption, then he comes over the top. Just an awesome play. And
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
But you know what the crazy thing is? When you start getting into these situations where they're just confused about the blitz and they're worried about everything, when they start thinking too much, that's when it really gets fun, because they forget to do stuff like block Chris Jones, the one person, kind of like the 49ers in the Super Bowl, one dude who, if you're an offensive lineman and you approach the offensive line on a play and it's before the snap and you're thinking, well, and Chris Jones is in front of you and you're thinking, well, I have to come over here and take this blitzer, but I have to be ready for someone else looping in. You should probably just take care of Chris Jones and let, whatever happens after that. Because I tell you, the quickest way to blow up a play is probably to just let 95 run untouched. I mean, look, but that's just a testament to Spags and how messed up he has people. Because look, you got Reed.
Exactly.
You got look at this. You got Reed. You got O'Menihue lined up on the inside. You got Bolton, Dana. You have no idea what's coming here if you're the Browns, and this is their second quarterback in the game. Now you see, and look how crazy this look is. I mean, you got George Karlaftis dropping and Reed dropping, and basically Nick Bolton's like a spy. So in the end, it's only like a 3-man pass rush, more or less. Nick Bolton's kind of like just playing the line there, and all of a sudden you see Chris Jones breaking free up the middle. This isn't for this, and this play isn't designed by Spags to beat this Browns backup quarterback. I assure you it's not. This kind of play where you're going to have guys breaking into the flats, dropping off the line of scrimmage, and then you're trying to get Chris Jones that get-home pass rush. This is to beat Lamar Jackson. This is to beat Josh Allen, CJ Stroud. This is to beat someone in the playoffs, Justin Herbert. This isn't to come out here and do this. So this may be the only time in the regular season we get to see something like this. This will not be the last time we see a play like this during the season and possibly the playoff run for the Chiefs.
Oh, yeah. No, I think they're, with the Mahomes injury, with just the Chiefs offense just working through stuff, I think Spags knows he's going to have to be cooking. He's going to have to be chefing up in the kitchen, really, working, especially, again, something we didn't mention, but Chamari Connor, got hurt this game, concussion. That's something that, you just don't know. You have no idea how long that can go. No matter how shaky he was in pass coverage at times out of the slot, that's just a starting defender you have down, and you're going to have to go deeper. Christian Roland Wallace, he was the main victim, in my opinion, of that big, long Jerome Ford run where it just felt like he took a terrible angle and just, got beat and couldn't even touch him. So that's the kind of stuff that, Spags has to be in his bag, and this pass rush has to be in their bag by themselves, the 4-man rush, to really make up for a lot of that stuff. So, yeah, I do think it's heating up. It's heating up. The defenses. Omenihu being back is such a huge difference. I mean, does it feel like it's just that as simple as Omenihu just kind of being back in the mix, just kind of is raising everything up a little bit?
It's starting to feel that way. The way he's moving, the way he's looking, it's looking a lot like he's coming back with, full force. Not like he's coming back and missing a step or playing slow. Like he's out there playing fast. He's making an impact on the game.
Well, shoot, before we get out of here, we do have a game on Saturday, kind of close, quicker coming up. We'll see if Mahomes plays in that game, but I don't know. Caleb Max just asked about some matchups to think about. He talks about some of the Texans' offensive receiver, pass catchers, obviously, and Dalton Schultz, tight end. Nico Collins is definitely a terrifying weapon with the way this coverage has been playing. But I don't know. I mean, on the other side of the ball, you talk about some of these edge rushers coming up: Danielle Hunter, Will Anderson Jr. Just any thoughts on the Texans game coming up, and if it's even, is it more of a challenge than even the Browns game, just because you kind of have two, top tier edge rushers, two of the better pressure rates in the NFL on either side, in Anderson and Hunter.
Well, I mean, there's that, and they have a legit quarterback in Houston too. Like CJ Stroud's a franchise quarterback. He's probably better than their franchise quarterback. He's having a little bit of a down year right now, but when those guys are playing their best ball, they've had injuries to their offense just like the Chiefs have, but when they're playing their best ball, they are hard to stop. So, yeah, I mean, Nico Collins is going to be an interesting test. You don't really like Trent McDuffie out there. You saw kind of what happened against Cortland Sutton. That's just not really McDuffie's bread and butter. You'd rather him be on the inside. You'd rather be him taking away the speedster. So I don't know, some combination of Josh Williams and Christian Roland Wallace is going to have to get it figured out against pretty awesome dude in Collins.
Yeah, no, I think the Cortland Sutton comparison is actually pretty apt for Nico Collins. I think he is a very similar receiver just in terms of bigger build, but also has the athleticism, the route speed, to give you trouble on all levels of the field. I do think McDuffie is going to have to be matching up against him quite a bit because that Connor injury, even further reason to not be, putting McDuffie in the slot. Although I guess you could say it the other way around too, where McDuffie needs to play in the slot more now. And we'll see Steven Nelson if he's back. He's a practice squad player right now. If they bring him up, that does maybe give you confidence that they're thinking, okay, we'll put a few guys on the outside, leave McDuffie on the inside. But then, again, Nico Collins is going to be playing on the outside. He's a true outside receiver, perimeter receiver, plays very traditional. This Texans offense is very traditional, I would say. They run the ball. They want to run the ball, but then they want to, have those big plays off of it to guys like Nico Collins and Dalton Schultz. The Chiefs, give up the most yards to tight end. I haven't updated that stat. I'm sure it's still true, over the last few weeks, even though they haven't gotten gashed necessarily. But, yeah, Dalton Schultz, someone to look out for. But yeah, again, the Texans defense missing Al Shahir, the linebacker that got suspended. So, I think the Chiefs will try to attack that middle of the field. They don't have Jalen Petrie either. They're talented safety. So I think the Chiefs will try to be attacking that middle of the Texans defense. So, any final thoughts before we get out of here, Caleb, on the journey ahead? 3 games left before that postseason run.
Like I said earlier, I think that getting the 20 days of rest is bigger than just resting for 4 days. I think that having like that runway to be able to basically take off from Christmas until a couple of weeks after the new year could be giant for this team in general, because all those like little nagging injuries are going to have time to heal up. And, all these other teams are going to have to be out here playing. They're going to have to be out here putting their bodies on the line every week. That's, it doesn't get talked about enough, but really one of the reasons why the bye week is important is because it's one less chance that something can go wrong, and the Chiefs could take away a ton of variables just by going out here and taking care of business. It's going to be hard. I don't think it's going to be easy. I don't see the Bills losing the rest of the way after the way they've looked lately.
Yeah.
And right now the AFC does kind of seem like it's the Chiefs and the Bills. I'd be on the lookout for these other AFC West teams that are probably going to get in also to be able to go deep in the playoffs just from what we've seen. So you're going to be playing someone familiar either way if you can make it to the divisional round. So I'd say just get rest, win now.
Yeah, no, all 3 opponents upcoming are potential playoff opponents too. So it is pretty, interesting, how this, a lot of times I feel like the Chiefs walk into the postseason with kind of some dud games at the end of the season, but not this year. Not this year. They're going to have to work for that end of the season, that 1 seed. They do have 1 game cushion, but that's where this game on Saturday is super important against Houston, against the Texans in Arrowhead. We'll be breaking it down afterwards. Have a quick turnaround, so we'll see kind of how it works out, Caleb. We'll have to see what day before that Christmas game. We'll have to think that out, but we'll have something to break down. Absolutely. Appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. Appreciate you guys checking it out. Make sure you're following us on Twitter. Make sure you're following the pages. Make sure you're liking this video. Definitely feel free to comment during the live streams, or just comment on Twitter with any thoughts. We'll be back next week, back in the future, getting ready to break down the quest of the three-peat. So we're here for it. All right, Chiefs Kingdom. See you next time.